guys, Di from Di's Den here today, and I would like to show you another Z-fold card. Now this is the one I made using the new colours, in colours. This is called Bumblebee, this colour, and I'm not sure what that one's called, Midnight something or Mid something or other, I'm not sure. I can't remember. I'm having a mental blank trying to remember them all, but it's gorgeous. I haven't finished that one off, so I haven't done a back for it yet. But this is the one I'm going to show you today. This one I used retired designer series paper, and instead of like this one, the Z comes over the top. This one I've made the Z go underneath. So I'm going to show you this one, but you can adapt it for this style if you wish. So let's pop these cards out the way. This set is beautiful and I still love it, so I'm going to be using it. So we're going to be using Gorgeous Grape and Highland Heather for our main parts of our card. So we need for our card base, oh, I've got all pieces everywhere here, hang on. We're going to need a piece that is 11 inches by 5.5 inches, and another piece that is 11 inches by 2 inches. We're also going to need some layers, and this layer is 5.25 by 5.25 square, and these two layers are 5.25 by 2.5 inches, along with these two pieces which are 2.5 inches by 1.75 inches. You're going to need some designer series paper, and as I said, I'm using one that's actually retired now. I can't remember what it's called. Hang on a moment. I'll pull the chair here and have a look. It is called Lily Impressions. So I do love it. It's beautiful and I love the colours. So we're going to use this because I can't keep on buying and not using stuff. So I'm going to use this one. And so this piece measures 5 inches by 5 inches. And these two pieces it measure 5 inches by 2.25 inches. Now if on this card, I'll just grab this card, I didn't put designer series paper here, but if you would like to put designer series paper here, you need it to be 2.25 inches by 1.5 inches, and you'll need 2 of those, but I'm not using that. I'm leaving them plain. You'll need a couple of pieces of scrap in the light and the white, so for our sentiment tag, which I've already cut out. I'll show you what I use for that. You'll need a writing panel for the back, which measures 5.25 by 5.25 inch square, and another piece of scrap for our flowers, which I've already done, but I will actually show you how we did those. So let me show you what sets I'm going to use. I'm going to use the So Sentimental, and I'm going to be using Wishing You Much Happiness Today and Always. And I love that saying, so that's why I use that one quite a bit. I'm going to be using this new one called Tasteful Touches. I'm using the dies out of this as well as the stamp set. So I'm using The Good Things in Life Are Better With You, and we're going to use, let's see, this beautiful die here, this one here. So I'm going to cut that out, which I've already done, in my Highland Heather and Whisper White. So, but I will go through that with you. And I'm going to use Floral Essence for this flower here, along with the punch, which I haven't got the name of the punch on there, which is the flower punch that goes with this. The bundle has now finished, but I believe this is carried over, so you will be able to still purchase these. So that's that part. So let's get cracking, shall we? So let's pop all these bits out of the way, and we'll do our scoring first. So I did do one last week, a Z fold, but this week is a little different, so we're going to have a go at this one. So we're going to score this piece at the 2 3/4 mark on the long side and the 5.5 inch mark. Oops. So 2 3/4, 5.5. And with our smaller piece, we're going to score them exactly the same places. 2 3/4 and 5.5. That's all our scoring we're going to do, so they are pretty easy to do. So let's move the scoreboard out of the way. Let's bring these back in and we're going to fold these. Now what did I do with my bone folder? Here we go. So we're going to fold these so that we have, on this one, we'll start with the big one, we're going to fold it in half, making sure that it is nice and even on the 3 sides, so there's no overhang. And then we're going to pull this one back and making sure that it is nice and even again. So we have our fold like so, and we're going to do exactly the same with these pieces. So we're going to fold this in half, and then we're going to fold this one back, and that is our folds. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to, this one actually, what happens is these look exactly the same. So this one then gets turned over like so, so that the long side is at the front and the short piece is at the back. So that gives you your Z fold. Can you see that? That's not a very good colour to be doing that with, but that is how we're going to put it on our card. So what we're going to do first is we're going to put our panel in here. So we're going to pop them out of the way, and we're going to bring in our designer series paper and our layer, and we're going to glue these together. So let's pull the lid off my glue, which is beautiful paper on the back because green is my favourite colour, so it just seems such a shame, but I did want this to be in the purple. And we're going to pop this onto the centre of this one, lining it up nicely all the way round, and that's our that front done. That's the back panel done. Gosh, I'm really doing well here, aren't I? So now we're going to pop some glue onto these ones. Now if you have a designer paper that has a directional, please make sure when you're cutting it that you cut it the right way. Otherwise it's going to look really quite strange. And you'll be so disappointed with yourself for not doing it correctly. Okay, pop that out of the way. Pop this one in. Oops, that's not very straight, is it? That's better. What we're going to do now is we're going to bring in our main card, and we're going to pop this one in the middle here. So not on the front panel, not on the big panel, but on that middle panel there. We're going to glue this one onto it. It's just easier to do this before you put the front panel on, because otherwise you're going to be fiddling around it, and it can be a little bit tricky if you're not if you're new at the projects. So that's our piece, and we're now going to glue these pieces into place like so. So we're going to glue this onto here. So we're going to put on this small piece, we're going to put some glue. And we're going to, I'll turn it around so it's easier for me, glue this up into the bottom corner, so that this is nice and even here, right along the bottom, right along this side is even. We don't want any overhang whatsoever. So that's why it's good to use a wet glue, because it gives you that little bit of time to wiggle it into place. And that's our panel there. We're then going to glue this panel onto here. So for me, I find that I just lay this down flat and I draw a line with my pencil, and I just draw it in the middle somewhere because we're going to cover it so we know where we're going. And then I'm going to put glue below that spot there. So and if we lay this flat out so and lay that along there, it should match up beautifully if you've cut everything fine. Oops, which mine didn't match up very nicely, so let's move that again. Oops, we're out of the picture. And we've got that all nice and neatly in that corner there. So now we have our Z fold card that looks like this. Okay, we're going to put our front panel on here. So we'll pop that one on there now. We'll lay this flat again. It's just easier to work nice and flat. And we'll pop our front panel onto the front of our card. We're going to get our two small panels and we're going to glue those onto our piece, two small pieces here and here. Now, as I say, if you wanted to put designer series paper onto that, you can, but I just didn't think that it would. I thought it looked just too busy for me, so I didn't put it on there. And that's our two side panels. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our back panel in, and you're thinking to yourself, well, that's never going to fit in there. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to make sure, because I have a design paper that has a direction, I'm going to just put a B at the bottom on the back so that I know that that's the bottom of the paper. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over, and with my pencil I'm going to mark this at along the bottom, turn my ruler over so I can read it, at the 2 5/8 mark. So that's there, and I'm going to mark it 2 inches up from the bottom. So I'm going to draw a line from that mark to 2 inches up from the bottom, so that I have a line drawn up through the centre here. If you want to just check that it's right, you're straight, just check all the way up, and you will find that you're 2 5/8 on both sides, and that's beautiful. Using our scissors, which if you take the lid off them, they work better, we're going to just cut up that line, right up that line, and then right next to it with the smidgenest little piece taken out. So we've got like a slot in there, this tiny little slither here that we've taken out. If you want to rub these off the back, you are welcome to, but they're going to be covered over and you won't see them. So we have a tiny little slot in there, as you can see. It's just really tiny. It's just big enough for the paper to go through, like so. Now before you put your glue on it, always just double check that it's going to sit into place beautifully, because you don't want it to sit there and it's not going to go into place nicely. That is going to sit there beautifully, so I'm going to put my glue on the back of this piece. Up around my trouser legs. And then I'm going to slot that through that slot again. Oops. And push it into place and line it up beautifully on both sides. Once I've done that, I can then push it down into place. And your card is now sitting here beautifully, all ready to go. And our back is in panel is in there, and it looks like it's hidden behind here. So that is the main part of the card. So let's pop that out of the way, and we will do the back writing panel next. And my back writing panel is the 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 inch piece, and I'm going to just be using gorgeous grape ink, and I'm going to stamp my saying, which is that way up, onto my card. Now I like to line mine up if I can. And then I'm going to bring in my pricking mat, and I'm just going to stamp this one flower up in this top corner, like so, and then over again, so that it looks like a proper flower. Let's pop the lid on that out of the way so I don't get ink on everything. We're going to do some more stamping in a minute. And we'll pop that out of the way, and we will now glue this to the back of the card. So we're going to glue this to the back of the card, and that looks beautiful. Really happy with it. I love this colour. I'm not a purple person, green's my colour, but this purple is absolutely beautiful. So there is our card. So we have now cut out these two tags from this beautiful set here again. I'll show you again, once again. This one here, which cuts that out. And we are going to use this saying here, the good things in life are better with you. So let's pop that over there, and we're going to stamp that onto our white piece. And we're going to pop that into the middle of our card like so. And we're going to mount this one behind it. Now you're going to think to yourself, well, hang on, they're both the same size. So what we do, we will pop that one on one side to let it dry, and I will show you what I did. I bring in my cutting board, and I lay this in my cutting board with this curve right where the groove is, so that it's, oh excuse me, cut right down the middle of that, and pop that one out the way and cut it in half. Once I've cut that in half, I then just use a little bit of glue along one edge of the cut edge, that is, and I bring in my sentiment and I glue it so that it's even across the top here. Once I've done that, I do exactly the same on the other half. Turn that around, and I do the same. I glue it so that it is even top and bottom. How about that? How gorgeous does that look? Well, I've already got one other one ready, so we know who will get that one. Mum. Thank you, Mum. You've got a saying. This one's ready. I've put my dimensions on the back ready for it. So let's pop this into place. And I'm popping this on the back here, like so. It will be half covered, but that doesn't matter because the card will stand up like so, so it will be seen. We're then going to bring in our piece of white scrap, and we're going to stamp our flower. Now we need 10 flowers in all, so I'm only going to do 2 so I can show you what I did. as I've already done them all. So Mum will get a flower as well. So I'll bring in my piercing mat because these are polymer stamps and they do actually stamp nicer if they're on something that's got a bit of cushioning behind it. So we stamp 2 flowers for every flower that we want to make. So we've got, move that out of the way, and what we need is our punch, and we punch out our flowers. So we'll pop out our flowers with our punch, and this punch actually lines the flowers up absolutely beautiful. Some of them I've found that the punches, you really have to fiddle with it to get it into place. This one you don't, it just goes. So let's move that out of the way. Let's move that out of the way. Our flowers are here, so what we need is our, oh here it is, bone folder, and we're just going to grab our flower and roll the petal carefully over our finger and over our thumb, sorry, and over the bone folder, so that they fold down. So it looks like, when you're sitting there like this, it looks like it's sitting up on like legs. And we're going to do that on all 10 of them in the case of when we're doing them like so. We're going to bring in our piercing mat again, and I have a tool for rounding the edges. If you haven't, just a pencil top or whatever, doesn't matter. And then just in the middle, just push it so that the flowers now look like they are shaped up. We're going to pop a bit of glue onto the flower centre. I'm just going to put the pin in my glue because I don't need it anymore. And we're going to place the other flower over the top so that it makes a beautiful flower like so. We're going to put 1 dimension on the back of the flower, and we are going to colour, and I have done 5, so I will bring them in to show you. There's my 5 flowers, and we have the last of my faceted gems, so I've got 2 large ones, so I'll bring this flower in too, and I'll colour this one with my blender pen. I'll colour my faceted gem in this, and this colour is dark raspberry, rich raspberry. And we're going to pop this onto the front of the flower, right in the centre, like so. Like so. That's, yep, got all my fingers, but never mind. So 1 for Mum, so she's got another flower, and these have all got dimensions on the back, so we are now going to pop these on here. So we're going to pop 3 down this side here, 1 over here, and 1 on here. So let's pop these on here like so. And I staggered them a little bit so that they weren't sort of in a row, they were sort of like off-centered to each other. This one down the bottom here, in the center, and this one at the edge of the words, but not overlapping the words. So that's our card for today. What do you think? I think it's gorgeous. I love it. I'll bring in the other one, which is identical. No, this one has pearls on it, and these are not Stampin' Up pearls, so that's why I didn't use those. But that is the card we made today. This is the other card. This is using the I don't know the name of this set, Jar of Flowers, which is gorgeous. I'll show you what that set looks like. That's absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? Look at that. You get a punch to punch these beautiful jars out, and I fussy cut around the flowers myself, and they're just absolutely gorgeous. I love it. So that, I will think I'll be probably doing some projects in that. That's the card with it over the top. This is the one with it hidden inside. So I hope you've enjoyed today's card. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you would like to purchase any of the products that are still available, which is anything except for this designer series paper, this purple one, please let me know. If you live in Australia, I can help you with that. And I will see you again next week. Bye for now.